Okay, welcome to the Lab 3 help video for the SPSS portion of Lab 3. Remember that Lab 3 has two parts. Part 1 is about an article and you answering questions about the article, and Part 2 is about SPSS. I've already done the steps 1, 2, and 3. You should be able to do all of those steps based on your previous labs. We're going to pick up on step number 4. Now before we go on to step number 4, I'm going to open up our data. Like I said, I've already done step 3, which has given me in our output window our means and standard deviations. Now, I want to make it clear that the data I'm using here is different data than the data you're using on your lab, so don't use my same numbers or your answers will be wrong. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jot myself down as a quick note about the mean and standard deviation for on time and for group work, because these are going to be important in a second. Once I have my note, I'm going to move on to step 4, which is to insert a variable to the right of on time. So we're going to open up our data view again, and I'm going to right click somewhere to the right of on time. And there is our insert variable command. Now we have a brand new variable. I can go to variable view and actually change the name of this to anything I want, but the directions tell us to call it on time z-scores. So there we have it. There's our new shiny column ready for data. So moving on to step 5, we're supposed to transform the scores in on time to z-scores for this new column. This comes from our compute variable command. So what we're going to do, we're going to go up to transform, compute variable. And what we want is is to type in the name of our new column there, on time z-scores, and then it's asking us for some kind of mathematic equation or computation to calculate this new variable. And the way we do that is by plugging in the formula for creating z-scores. And so what that's going to be is parentheses, on time. We're going to subtract from on time the mean of on time, which I've already written down for myself, which again is different than the numbers you're going to use. Those two things divided by our standard deviation, which I've also written down for myself. And that's what we do. We click OK. Are you sure you want to change it? Yes, I'm sure. Compute, execute, compute, which means when we go back to our data view, there it is, all nicely computed into z-scores for us. And for all the data. Now this is useful because even though you can use math to do it in your head for this, which is only a possible of scores from 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, if we're working with a larger set of data or with a question here that has more responses than 5, then your job becomes much more difficult, and this allows us to do it automatically. Now what you're going to do is insert another variable to the right of group work, and you're going to do the exact same skill for group work and transform them into z-scores. And then you're going to fill out the answers that you need on Lab 2. So I'm going to go over to group work, insert variable, move that variable over by click and drag, or I'm going to rename that variable into group work z-scores. Make it so it's pretty. I'm going to transform. Again, that formula is no longer useful, so we're going to type in group work z-scores so it knows where we're going. I'm going to click parentheses, group work, move that over. We're going to subtract the mean of group work, which again, different mean than the one that's on your lab, divided by our standard deviation, and then we're going to click OK and OK. It's computing, executing, and ta-da! There they are. Alright, so you're going to use this information to go to your assignment sheet, and you're going to fill in these parts right down here. Now the last question asks you to take a screenshot of your data view and paste it right here into the assignment. So remember, what this means is your data view, which is this window here, which shows me that you have the 2 columns with the computed variables in them. So I'm going to look at this keyboard because this is not my home keyboard, and I notice that over the numerical keys there's a button that says print screen. However, print screen is over a line, and underneath that line is a different command. What this tells me is that I need to click Control and then press that button. And what the keyboard has done for me is take the picture of my screen so that I can open up the assignment sheet and right click, paste, and boom, there's my picture of my screen all ready for me to turn in. So those are the only skills that you have not already practiced in your other labs. And once you figure out how to compute variables like we've just done here, you can now compute new variables in all sorts of ways, not just to make z-scores out of them, but to make all sorts of other scores that may be useful in future labs. So let me know if you have any questions, and make sure to visit the PSYC lab if you need extra help.